Nom 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 nom. Come and catch up.
Hey everybody, pen name Jay here, and I have another comic catch-up. Alright, so I'm going to be doing the comics from the last 2 weeks, so that, you get a little bit of a catch-up, getting to know what's going on. So, since I already have enough for the past 2 weeks, let's get going. So, first up is Amazing Spider-Man, number 679. See, in the last comic catch-up, I said that Spider-Man was going to try to save the world from blowing up because when he stepped inside a time portal, it showed what the world would be like if he wasn't there for 24 hours. And the world was utterly destroyed. Now, he's running around and he did stop a bomb from going kaboom in Manhattan, and he saved the day. Good! But the portal still showed that the future was still intact. That the bad future was still intact. So they were trying to find out what was so different, what's so wrong about it. So, even though he saved the day, they're still trying to find out what's going on. Well, here's what happened. Peter Parker forgot one thing. He's a super scientist now. He deals with big scientific things, and he forgot something. Enough said. This is a fun story. It doesn't really talk too much about what goes on in previous chapters, so this is in a way a good jumping on point. But since what I picked up today, the good jumping on point would be Spider-Man number 679.1. But anyway, that's about it for Spidey-Man. Next up is Static Shock issue number 6. Honestly, I don't like the story overall. I really just don't like the story overall. It was just very bland. I didn't know what was going on with Sharon, and the whole arc started from issue 1 to 6, and they dealt with one overall bad guy dealing with Sharon. There was no connection between it except for he cloned Sharon. That was the first connection. He turned some of these people into metahumans. Bang baby metahumans. There was no weird way of explaining that either. It's just he did that. He had some reason and he did that. So, bad guys were doing things that just didn't make sense. Nothing connected properly in that issue. In the issues. There wasn't a proper build-up. Nothing. It was bad. It was terrible. It was god-awfully terrible. But I liked the 6th issue. I enjoyed the first issue because I was anticipating good things later. Didn't happen. And I liked the 6th issue because, tell you the truth, it had good action. That's about it. That's all. And a big heads up with John Rosen. Rosen was the one who stopped us writing Static after issue 4. He wasn't even writing Static after issue 4. As they said, he only talked about hardware. He only put hardware in the story, saying, hey, let's put hardware in there. And they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Hey, let's do this. No more ideas from you. Step down. He's like, step back, you're on the bench. So, even though they have a new writer, he's only writing 2 issues. And speaking of Rosen again, he did a kick-ass job writing Zombie. I would tell you guys to read it. It's a good book. And when you read it, and if you've read Static Shock, you would see that there is a huge difference between the two. Alright. After that, it's number 6 of Superboy. Alright, this takes place right after Teen Titans, issue number 5. Now, I gotta be honest. Issue number 5 of Teen Titans made me not like Superboy at all. Superboy just seemed like a douchebag. So, of course, when I see the next one, when I start reading Superboy issue number 6, I didn't know that it was going to take place right after. Now, Superboy, sadly, the story's kind of bland. Now, they're telling a story. There's not much action, but I don't get it. I don't know why I'm making myself, suffer just reading all this. But, like Static Shock, I like issue number 6. I love issue number 6. Heck, with Superboy, issue number 1, I loved issue number 1. Issue number 2, I enjoyed issue number 2. Issue number 3, blah. 4, blah. 5, blah. Wasn't terrible, wasn't pulling my hair out, just meh. Just going meh. I don't know why. I was like, But out of the 3 books from Scott Lobdell, that's the only book that I don't overall enjoy. Like, Red Hood and the Outlaws, I love that book. Teen Titans, I love that book. I love every issue that comes out of Teen Titans. I love every issue that came out from Red Hood and the Outlaws. But, yeah. And I just didn't like Superboy as a character when they showed him in Teen Titans, because at first, he seemed a little more like a douchebag, but he seemed a little lost to me in Superboy. But Lobdell is writing Superboy and Teen Titans, and he made him look like a douchebag in Teen Titans. And he even said, in a different light, they could have been my friends. I was like, well, yeah, that's nice, but still, he shouldn't have been such a douche. Now, this issue makes me feel a little more sympathetic for him, because even though he beat them all up, he still seemed a little lost about it. So, in this issue, you meet up with Supergirl, and they're fighting. They're fighting the second she finds out he's a clone. And she screams out the name that most comic book readers associate Superboy with, Kal-El. Which, originally, Kal-El was the name of Superman's cousin. Not cousin. Superman's uncle or ancestor, great-grandfather, something like that. But Superman learned about his family tree and named Superboy Kal-El. We still don't even have the Connor name, which more likely it's when he crosses over with Superman that he actually gets Connor Kent. But we find out that Kal-El now, instead of it being named after a distant relative of Superman, means Khan, more likely now means clone or abomination. So, the abomination of the House of El. But other than that, the story's getting really good, because I know that he's going to be facing off against Nowhere, and that is going to rock, man. So it's now Rose versus Superboy. Now, if Superboy shows more character, and if they actually dull down his powers, gotta tell you the truth, people who are overpowered become very dull. You don't want too much power on them, because you don't know what their weakness is, and you don't exploit it too much. We just know that he doesn't have control over his powers. That's how far it goes. And his tactile telekinesis is crazy. It is crazier than his previous form. So, other than that, I do like this issue. The overall story is good, just it was a little slow for me. It wasn't confusing. It wasn't confusing like Static. It was slow. But alright. And another heads up, by the 4th week, Superman's coming out, and Supergirl's going to be confronting Superman again. But this time around the clone issue, which, of course, means that Superman is now going to find out about Superboy. Don't know why he was totally oblivious about it, but whatever. Next up, Batman and Robin, issue number 5 and issue number 6. Okay. I've read issue number 1, but not 2, 3, or 4. I'm going to be getting 2, 3, and 4 later. and issue number 1, because I only read issue number 1. I never really owned it. I just, you know, took a read on, and I was like, I don't want to read about a father and son anymore, because Damian broods, Bruce broods, it's going to be like, oh, and you hear Damian, hey, mystery, let's solve it. He's like, son, father, grr, 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 brood. And it's just going to be like a brood fest between father and son, and I wasn't really sure how that was going to work. Then all of a sudden, I read the first issue, and it was like, I don't know how I'm going to take care of this boy. It's like, yes, I've been the ward of, some people. Yes, I have adopted Tim Drake. Hell, I adopted everybody. But I don't even think the adoption actually happened now that, it's the whole reboot. But, he's like, I've been the surrogate father of 3 boys, but this is my own flesh and blood. There's no surrogate nothing. He's a part of me. He's like saying, he doesn't have a previous father. I'm 100% his father. What am I going to do here? So, it's kind of interesting with that. And, I start seeing that, yeah, the dynamic duo, Dick and Damian, was a good mix. But Bruce and Damian, it's a great combo as well. So, showing that Bruce has to adjust being a father is actually an interesting thing. Issue number 5 and 6 deals with Robin teaming up with a vigilante named Nobody. And this vigilante does things a little more dangerously, killing people and such. So, when I jumped onto this issue, I thought that I was going to be slightly lost, but I wasn't. That's how good the storytelling was. Because how it went, you get the idea that Damian left on his own accord with Nobody, and Bruce is looking for him. That's about it. That's how far it goes. That's how far it goes with me understanding what the previous issues were about. But I want to get a better picture of the whole story, so my friend who stopped collecting it at issue number 4 is giving me 1 through 4, so pretty much good. Last up is Scarlet Spider, issue number 1 and issue number 2. I love this comic. I enjoyed Rios's run on Red Robin, so when I heard that they were going to make a Spider-Man related comic book about his homicidal clone, Kane, I jumped on it. That, and I like the whole idea from Spider Island. I was like, dude, that's cool. 2 Spider-Men. And he's not dead. He's still alive and kicking. And, he sparked my interest the second I heard that, they're continuing his story, because I wanted to know what happened afterwards. I knew that he was leaving, but I wanted to know what happened after. Where was he going? What was he going to do? And this is what I saw when they showed the preview. So when I saw the preview and showing that, yeah, he's going to be mean, he's going to be cruel, he's going to be all these other stuff, I was like, okay, I'm going to get into this. Let's see what they're going to do with this. And what they did was great. A lot of people had low expectations for Scarlet Spider, and the second they read it, they were like, never mind, this is good. But Marvel, like ABC, starts canceling things every time they get a new idea for something else. So I'm not sure how long this is going to last. Or it might last even longer, I'm not sure. But still, I'm not sure how long this is going to last. But the story starts off with Kane trying to go to Mexico, and he runs into a couple of things when he's trying to get money. He saves a girl, brings her to the hospital. After that, he stays in Houston, not leaving for Mexico, because he's like, dude, they need a hero. The cop says it, the doctor says it. The cop's like, this is not New York. There's no heroes running around like crazy here. And we need them. There's some crazy things that we just cannot handle. And Kane was like, okay. Now, he didn't really come up with the name Scarlet Spider, but one of the guys did. One of the guys that he had to face off against, the Salamander, who has like these fire powers. But yeah, He calls him Spider-Man in Spanish. Then he says Scarlet Spider in Spanish. And I think that's what he's going to be called by a lot of people who are going to say it in Spanish, as well as the people speaking in English will call him, dude, it's the spy. It's like the Scarlet Spider-Man. But other than that, this issue rocked. I enjoyed this issue. Pick up issues number 1 and number 2. I mean, it's just 2 issues that are out, so jump on that, man. Jump on it, girls, guys, babies, old people. Just jump on this one. This one is a good comic. And I may talk about the difference between Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider power-wise, which, you know what? Let me just say that now, because it won't take that long. It won't take that long. Honest, it won't. Okay. The difference between those two is their base powers are practically the same, except Kane lost something that Spider-Man had, which was his spider sense, which kind of makes sense because this machine that cut off Spider-Man's spider sense at a certain time cut off everybody else's, but turned back on everybody else's who's was still on. So Spider-Man's spider sense came back. In turn, it disrupted Kane's spider sense, so Kane doesn't have his anymore, which is okay because Kane plays a little differently, and he can see in the dark. I mean, come on. But other than that, the bigger difference is Spider-Man's powers that he obtained from the other arc, Evolve or Die, Kane has them. He has the pincers. He can see in the dark. His spider webs, he has natural webbing. That's from Avengers Disassemble. The webbing that he can use, he can do the vibration thing. His back can... Things can stick on his back much better compared to everybody else, which I bet he never really tried out. So, yeah, his powers are a little different from Pete's, only because the powers that they created beforehand, they want to keep around. He's like, if Pete's not going to have them, at least give it to somebody else. And they did. So, I'm enjoying that. So, other than that, this is Pen Name J, signing out.